Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. Okay, so today we are doing a album review. We are checking out the recently released album by Patriachs in, was it Patriarchs or Patriots? Or yeah, it's
Patriarchs in Black.
Patriarchs, it is, yeah. It is. I lost the ability to speak there. Patriarchs in Black, and the title of the album is My Veneration. I can't say that without thinking of the Who song, My Generation, every single freaking time.
That's the whole point. They have a song on this album called Lust for Lies, which is obviously based on Iggy Pop's Lust for Life. So they do like wordplay.
They like a little bit of
This album was released on the 6th of October via MDD Records. I think we should just give that to our viewers as well so they know about this.
So we've all had a chance to kind of go away and listen to this album. Sometimes we do it track by track. Sometimes we're just going to do it as kind of a summary by each of us. And I think today we're going to go from a summary point of view. So I think actually I want to let Kirk go first today. Give us a bit of context.
I wish you didn't ask me that, but okay.
Because I know how much this is your style of music.
Hey, I do not mind hard rock music when it's got a Black Sabbath angle to it. This rocks very hard, doesn't it? I know that's not the most literate way of describing it, but what impressed me about this album is the amount of guests that they have on this. It's like a who's who of doom and modern rock, and nowhere does it say which vocalist is on which songs. You've got to try and guess.
Yes, I noticed that.
And the fact that they even have a member of Dog Eat Dog on this album as well is quite amusing. But you know what I would say about this? If I was to just give a 2-sentence summary: enjoyable music if you like Black Sabbath and you want the invigoration of modern hard rock with a tongue-in-cheek angle to it and also a bit of hardcore in there, surprisingly. You're going to love this album. There's nothing you can dislike about this, is there? But at the same time, that becomes a double-edged sword because you're just thinking, this is the type of music written for me. I've listened to this all my life. Is it doing anything new? Probably, no, it isn't. Let's be honest. But there are some standout moments in here. And I'm just going to give you a few songs that really took me by surprise. I think we've always got to start with the opener, haven't we? Dead or Dying. I can see why this was one of the lead singles. You go on YouTube, you go on the platforms, the streaming platforms, this is going to be one that's promoted. And what really surprised me about this, it fades in almost like a country rock riff, but you know that the motif is going to be repeated later on, and then it just turns into this real vintage Black Sabbath groove, which really did get me in the zone. So I think the first 3 songs alone, you just know this is going to be a good rock album, don't you? It's got a great guitar tone. They really are starting from foundations of doom metal, and it's as if they've set themselves the challenge. How do we make something that could be potentially monotonous and quite somber? How do we make that applicable for people who like to get out the air guitar, who like to listen to extravagant rock music? And I think on the whole, they're quite successful in mixing those two. So whether you listen to Saint Vitus or even Guns N' Roses, I think you can find a middle ground in this album. Now, the things that really stood out for me, though, there are a few moments in this you just do not expect. And the first one is track number 4, Veneration, which, Andy, you're probably going to comment on. Wow, this actually could be My Dying Bride, this song. It's got violins in there. It's got a real,
interesting,
like, slow doom, ponderous, not pondering, ponderous. No, it is, sorry, pondering, because that is the more positive word there. It's got a real contemplative nature to it, and then you've got these violins in it, and then you've got these hard rock tenor vocals. I just didn't get it at first. I had to listen to it 3 times to really get my head around it. So that really stood out for me. My criticisms of this album, I think track number 7, Dead and Gone, and then track number 8, Crooked Smile. Are they just trying to rehash Led Zeppelin here? I mean, Crooked Smile is basically Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin. But to be fair, they've inserted like a Soundgarden art school angle to it. And even on the song before, Dead and Gone, there's an excellent switch where it just goes from being this Led Zeppelin worship to where they really go crazy and make it so heavy for 20 seconds in the middle eight, where you feel like you're listening to extreme metal. It just comes from nowhere, this crushing down-tuned riff. So every time I'm thinking, oh, this is predictable, I can tap my foot to this, you know, I'd listen to this if I was in a pub. They will surprise me and put something in there that really does drag me out of my comfort zone. So I think that is the ultimate triumph of this album. There are some amusing songs on here. Hallowed Be Her Name. Obviously, we know that's a play on Iron Maiden, don't we? And obviously the biblical reference. And this is just about a wicked female temptress, isn't it? The song, it's great. Actually, go and look at the lyrics of this. If this doesn't amuse you, then you've got no sense of humor. But yeah, overall, before I hand it back to you, I would say highly enjoyable, nothing original. Could I listen to this every day of my life? I probably could. Often it would have to be background music. I just feel that I've been listening to this type of music for almost 25 years. I'm so used to it, but I will applaud them for throwing in the occasional moment where you're just thinking, what the hell are you doing? There's a few left field moments, like members of Dog Eat Dog appearing on this record and rapping over doom metal. I think that is quite innovative, to be fair. Yeah, I think the fact that this band enjoy it so much rubs off on you on the listener as well. This is Johnny Kelly, ex-Typo Negative, and then what's he called? Lorenzo. He played in that heavy metal band Hades, didn't they? They come together, they're just sharing their record collection and saying, let's just celebrate what we have in our record collection. Let's go and enjoy. And, you know, this really is hard rock. I always say this, aimed at a heavy metal audience, isn't it? But it's got a lot of doom metal in here as well. It's like they're trying to make that enjoyable for people other than me and Andy, who would happily listen to mournful doom metal. They're giving us a hard rock angle on that. That's enough of me. Over to you.
I was just thinking, he's like the Energizer Bunny. When is he going to run out of freaking power? Shut up! We could have almost done track by track the way you just went through your bloody review. Just literally listed most of the songs. Andy, what did you reckon?
I mean, this is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, when I first played it through, at the end of it, I thought, was that a covers album? They've picked out some of their favourite songs from various genres, because I've picked out so many influences and so many sort of bands this band sounds like. You know, I thought it was like one, you know, like Napalm Death did, you know, leaders not followers, you know, pick their favourite songs, put their spin on it. Because the first song, I agree with you, Kurt, I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best. Overall, I got Sabbath and that kind of thing, but the overriding influence for me was Pentagram. You know, the long-standing sort of doom band from America. A lot of this sounded to me like a well-produced, well-recorded Pentagram demo, because they done a lot. You know, their early part of their career was demos and 7 inches before they sort of got signed and released their first album. But that was the overriding sort of influence I got. So I enjoyed the first track. Yeah, it's got that 70s groove, got your head nodding, and then the second one, the vocals have gone up slightly. I thought, well, he's trying a different style, and then it goes on and it changes every single song. And I didn't get the concept that a band would bring in a guest vocalist on every song. That is a new concept to me. So it took a few songs to realise maybe that's what they're doing. And to be honest, that put me off. I think it's a great album. It has got some really quirky moments, but if they picked a vocalist or one of these guests, or had an established vocalist and played all 13 of these songs with him, I think this would have been a fantastic album. You mentioned the Veneration, Kirk, with the sort of the violins and the My Dying Bride influence. That was spoilt by somebody rapping, and I picked out the words Jam Master Jay. So that was very, very strange. The My Dying Bride influence goes on with the Hallowed Be Thy Name track. It's almost note for note a riff from erotic literature from their first album. I mean, other influences I've got is Motley Crue, Kiss, Deep Purple, Spinal Tap keyboards, There's a guy who sounded like Kirk Winstein on the vocals. I mean, there's so much here. There was another string section as well, probably not violins, but another instrument. There's chanty gang choruses. There's just so much in there. But the overriding influence is Sabbath, and it is stoner rock, groovy, 70s influence sort of doom. And it took a few listens. Like I said, first time around, I thought, no, it's not working. But then I really, really enjoyed it. There's plenty that I didn't, but there's so much that I did enjoy.
Can I ask you a question, Andy?
Can.
Just looking at your notes, there were 2 songs that stood out for me where there are 4 personalities in the song. Because you mentioned there's like a hardcore element. Do you know that track number 9, Heaven Burn? That, to me, sounds like a hardcore band playing Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
But there's like a Greg Puciato, Dillinger Escape Plan hardcore screamer on there. Then you've got like this goth baritone voice, and then you've got this hard rock voice. I think that really, when I first heard the opening 1 minute of that song, I was like, okay, this is going to be easy to work out. And that really did floor me. I was just thinking, fucking hell, there's so much going on in this song. And then they did it again on the last song, didn't they? Digital Lies, which, to be fair, is quite a poignant song. I think there's a lyric in here where there's a rap section, isn't there? And one of the lyrics is, social media is ripping apart the social foundations of our society.
Yeah.
I thought you've got this enjoyable song, and then there's this important message there, but there's 4 different vocalists in that song.
Yeah, Heaven Burn, I've got like it's back and forth vocals that seem to be trading off. And that's one where I did say that into gang vocals, which is like, Bay Area thrash or hardcore, style of vocals. But yeah, it's definitely a really good album. I would absolutely love it to bits if the elements I didn't like weren't in there. Like the rapping, and the multiple vocals. I mean, you say it's a who's who. This shows the sort of bands I follow. I only recognise the name of Dave Naboa from Dog Eat Dog Noir, I think his name is. But yeah, it's just there's crooning vocals, there's hardcore, there's rapping. There's just so much. It's almost overwhelming, but it does entice you to have repeat listens. And yeah, good effort overall. Just very, very unusual. You say it's nothing ground making. It's certainly something I've never come across before. No. What do you reckon, Dave? What are your thoughts?
So the way I tend to do my reviews is I will literally on the first listen I'll start playing it and I will have a Word document open, put the song titles, and I'll just type my initial thoughts as I start going through it. And I did pretty much what you do, Dead and Dying, Slow and Power, and I wrote things like 70s Dio era Sabbath, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, got to the end of the second song, and I started writing my summary going, if you like Sabbath, you'll love these guys, and if you like these guys, you'll love Sabbath, because it's Sabbath in 2023. And then the third song came in. I'm like, okay, hang on, Lust for Lies, that's more sludgy doom. Hang on, that's not Sabbath, but all right, maybe not, maybe okay. And then Veneration kicked in, and I went, I have no idea what's happening right now, because this is Tool meets Alice in Chains. This is a real, you've got a twisted groove, spoken word, raps, weird delivery, non-defectum. You've got Sabbath meets Hacktivist. You've got My Veneration was almost, and it's great you obviously mentioned Johnny, because Sabbath meets Typo Negative with almost a theatrical delivery of like a band like Avatar. Was another band I picked out in here.
Yeah, I can understand that. Certainly in My Veneration, yeah.
That one for My Veneration, and also on Digital Lies, I picked out Avatar on that one. I picked up the hardcore element on Heaven Burn. So we've all kind of picked out exactly the same things. I did notice with Dead and Gone and Crooked Smile, with Crooked Smile was more of a 90s feel of like the classic hard rock that was coming out in the early 90s. And the sense of where they had taken, you said Zeppelin, but it's where 90s bands had taken Zeppelin and put it out in the 90s. That's what it sounded like. It doesn't sound like 70s Zeppelin. It sounds like bands that they're almost doing the style of the bands that did the style of Zeppelin, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Kind of, they haven't gone that far back. What I didn't get about this album is with the amount of songs, what is it, 13 songs on this album, I think it was?
Yeah, the last 2 songs are covers.
Why do 2 covers? Yeah. There's no need for it. We don't need Hole. I mean, as soon as I saw Hole in the Sky at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, so it's Sabbath. And I heard the first 2, I'm like, Sabbath. What? I don't need your 2 cover songs. I really don't. I
agree. It's irrelevant.
I don't give a shit. Don't put them on your album because it makes it too long.
Is the other cover Kiss, if I remember
Kiss,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I don't know it. I mean, I put Motley Crue as a reference for that one because I've never heard a Motley Crue song and I don't know much Kiss, but that's that kind of band.
Yeah, it's a cover song. They're both cover songs. I just don't see why to put them in the.
That was pointless. That one. I enjoyed the Sabbath one.
But again, it's just that we know what it is. But I felt the elements where they messed around with it. You guys picked out "Dead or Dying" as the strongest. For me, it was a strong Sabbath song, but it didn't show any originality to me. Whereas at least with things like My Veneration and Non Defectum and stuff like that, I felt they were doing something different. So I was more interested in those, even though I do agree that Dead and Dying is probably the most complete sounding old style doom style song. My summary of this is a schizophrenic album. You never know which personality is going to come out of it. That's the best way I could put it. You just don't know. You could if you put this on shuffle, you would have no idea this was the same album. You would think it was just going to random playlists from random bands.
Yeah.
And that can work really well, but I don't feel. Sometimes when you listen to an album, you put this first song on and you go on a journey. Like when we did that Sol Negro album, it was long, but you did feel that you were traversing this journey with the album. You don't feel that with this. This is a collection of random songs that have just been put together on it's like a compilation album almost. And that's the way I'm treating it. So you just pick out the songs that you're more interested in listening to at any given time. But I don't feel that if I was in the mood for Dead and Dying, if it then went on to Non Defectum, I'd have to skip that because I'm not in the same mindset as I would be on that first song. They're very different vibes. And I think that's one of the things that could be a hindrance on the album. But if you're more into the singles, then this is a good album for that.
Non Defectum, Dave, it's been mentioned a few times. Did either of you think that it sounded a bit like our friends Lowdown, but sort of slowed down? It sounded like a Lowdown riff, but sort of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't remember enough to remember about it.
It goes to me. I think they're really going for that Black Sabbath Master of Reality.
Yeah,
I won't say that's extravagance because that's quite a dark album, isn't it? But yeah, I definitely agree with you, Andy. Our friends in Lowdown, that's what I love about their music, to be fair. And I think that, I would say that this band do replicate that zeal, don't they? You put music on like that, and it does get you going. So I don't think there's any moment on here where you just think, oh, this is boring or monotonous. But at the same time, that can work against them because you start to think, well, I know it's going to be extravagant, I know it's going to rock out, but at the same time, what are they doing differently? But I think we've agreed, actually, they are doing something different. There are some subtleties, and then there are some moments that are just pure bonkers on this album. So we probably should be giving them more credit for that, shouldn't we?
Another point I made down, again, unusual and not something I've come across before. I don't know if it's lazy or if they are trying to be different, but we've got Dead or Dying and Dead and Gone. We've got Veneration and My Veneration. Is that lazy song titles or is that what did you
possibly
think of that? But yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, you've got track number 4, Veneration, and track number 6, My Veneration. We know that they want to invoke the classic title of that Who song, don't we? And there are others on there, aren't there? There's Hallowed Be Her Name, Play on Iron Maiden. What was the main? The main one is obviously Lust for Lies, isn't it? Which is a play on Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. It's probably worth going through them, isn't it? Just trying to work out which song.
Probably is songs we don't know that they're
doing a parody on. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we must score it, which is what we do. So we score it out of 4 categories. It's either a bid it, a trade it, a stream it, or a buy it. Let's throw it over to Andy first. What's your scores on the door?
Well, it's certainly one that we're all going to remember. In a year's time, we'll be saying, "Oh, do you remember the Patriachs in Black one?" And we'll all instantly remember, what we liked, what we didn't like, and the points we made in this review. Overall, my score would be that I would stream this album.
Okay.
Enjoyed it a lot. Some elements I didn't like at all, but overall, there's enough in there for me to give it repeat listens.
Okay. For me, due to the schizophrenic nature of this album, in the sense of this, just the sheer variety of styles, it's perfectly suited the streaming generation. So this is a stream it for me. I don't think there's enough on there for a single person for a buy it. If I wouldn't buy a whole album because there's not enough songs that I would like individually. So I would say it definitely sits as a stream it. Kirk?
Controversial. I'm going to say trade it, but I'm going to trade it for Tony Iommi's 2000 album.
You don't get to pick what you
That self-titled album he released called Iommi. I'm just looking at the guests on this. You've got
I know we're not talking about his album.
Henry Rollins,
no.
Billy Corgan,
don't care.
Bill Anselmo, Serge Tankian from System of a Down. So sorry, Johnny Kelly, who we love, as an ex-member of Type O Negative. I'm going to trade this album, and I'm going to ask for the Tony Iommi 2000 solo album in return. No, the reason I'm being serious. The reason is, even though I like this music, I just feel that it could just be background music. I've heard it so many times. And it's pleasant to me, but I'm thinking, does it do anything if it's pleasant? It probably does, but hey, we can't always just say, yeah, let's stream it or buy it. I'm going to trade this one.
Okay, well,
for trading albums.
As an overall, though, it's a 2-1. So as a channel, it does get a stream it from us. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.